Canada should honestly become our 51st state.
With talk of trade wars and annexation threats, many Canadians are worried.
Feeling really anxious, actually, about what Trump and the U.S. Republicans are saying about Canada.
But there's also been a surge in national pride. So we thought we'd check in with some notable Canadians to find out how they're feeling and ask what being Canadian means to them. We'll start this week with Jonny Harris, host of Still Standing. For a decade, Harris has been traveling the country, showcasing Canada's struggling small towns.
And I know Prince Rupert has a history of a proud union town, but we got to end whale strikes.
Towns that are against the ropes, but hanging in there. Still laughing in the face of adversity.
Your program is fantastic. It really is a national treasure. You've been to more than 100 communities. And I just wonder, as you look back at that experience, are there any kind of common themes that come through among all those Canadian places?
Yeah, I mean, it's been an unbelievable opportunity, such a remarkable way to see such a vast, geographically vast country. I'm proud of it in so many ways. I would say that Canadians, perhaps more than anywhere else in the world, have strike a fine balance between individual freedoms and social responsibility. Canadians get the social contract. Here we are in Fenelon Falls, Ontario. Here we are in Dawson City, Yukon. Here we are in Oxford, Nova Scotia. St. Laurent, Manitoba. Here we are in Prince Rupert, British Columbia.
I did bring you a little sample to examine yourself.
You should be there.
Yeah, I know. Well, there you go. That is some whale poop, not super fresh.
So you're shooting the 11th season of Still Standing right now. You're in Osoyoos, British Columbia. And I just wonder, given the political climate, have you noticed any difference this year because of what's going on with the United States as opposed to past years?
Well, I think there's sort of a growing solidarity. I think a year ago, we were all sort of focused on what was wrong. It was almost, it felt wrong for us to pride ourselves, to pat ourselves on the back. There's so much sort of guilt that's expected. And, obviously not everything is hunky-dory, but I feel like right now, it's almost like we've been checked in that we've recognized that ethically, morally, we're a pretty decent country.
We have a pretty big question we're asking as part of this periodic series, and we're launching it with you. And so I ask you this in the context of the more than 100 communities and probably well more than 1,000 Canadians you've talked to over these 11 seasons. What's your sense of what does it mean to be a Canadian?
I think part of being a Canadian is showing up. It's respecting that social contract I'm talking about. To be a Canadian means you shovel your neighbor out, not just because one day you're the one who's going to be snowed in, but because it's the decent thing to do. It's the right thing to do. I feel like, and in small town Canada in particular, you don't get to abandon the social contract. You can't adopt a purely selfish attitude, or you're going to have a lonely, miserable existence. Because a small town doesn't afford you the kind of anonymity you need to enjoy a selfish existence. You have to chip in and you have to help your neighbor, because not even out of respect for them, but out of a sense of self-respect. And then, you gauge in that sense of community, and that respect will be shown to you in return.
It's funny, one of the examples you use, because I grew up in a small town, and a student of my retired parents, they were teachers, still shovels out their driveway 30 years after he was in their class. So that definitely hits home. Jonny, a lot of people are deciding not to go to the States this summer and instead, going somewhere in Canada. So what advice do you have for them?
I think you can fill the deepest sort of wanderlust or sense of adventure you could possibly have in this country. There's so much to offer, from coast to coast to coast. Go up north and see some beluga whales. Go pull some lobster traps out of the Atlantic, go out to the West Coast, do some mountain climbing, mountain biking. I'm here in Osoyoos, British Columbia, in Canada's only desert. It looks like Utah or Nevada here. We have such an incredible country to explore. Staycation in your own country.
Do you have any tips for people? Like, they might be a little intimidated about just rolling up in a small town that's not in the guidebooks. You've been to so many of these. What's kind of the first thing they should do? What's a good Jonny Harris tip for them?
Well, I'm soon going to release a cookbook that is based solely around the electric kettle. I travel with a $15 electric kettle, and I can poach a salmon in that thing, I'm telling you, let alone boil eggs or broccoli or make coffee or tea. But honestly, small towns, they're going to love to see you coming. So many towns that we visit, in particular with this show, where they've lost their staple economy or their main industry, their main employer, and everybody's trying to pivot to tourism, and they're dying for you to come and check out their town. They're eager to have you go give them a visit.